This program was pre-recorded.
You've entered the Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher, political analyst and socio-political prophet, and Kevin Gallagher, TV and podcast host and opinionated jackhole. So settle in, grab a beverage. It's time to talk some politics. It's Fletch Nation. Now here are the boys.
Why, hello once again. Welcome to Fletch Nation. Glad to have you with us here on the 1st of March, 2023.
Is this the first day?
As we record this program, you may be watching it a few days later, but we're at the Old School Barbecue Smokehouse on Coursey Boulevard in Baton Rouge. We thank them for their hospitality.
Just had a little sausage. It was great.
March, so would you say, I'm looking out the window, or would you say we're coming in like a lamb? It's a little cloudy out there. You know, March, it comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb.
Yeah, goes out like a lamb. Well, I think we're coming in like a lamb and going out like a lion.
Or I don't know what you call it when March comes in with record high heat.
Oh, yeah, well, they call it global warming, except for half of the country is cold as hell. Like in California and out in there where it's snowing so hard. And Montana. And
it snowed in parts of L.A. County.
Yeah, we saw it. It's on Twitter. Wow.
So, big political week, huh? It's been interesting. Some new developments.
It has. I guess we can start with China.
Yeah.
China.
That's one of the big ones, in my opinion.
Hey, remember, folks, Donald Trump, they asked him about 2 weeks after COVID, and they said, do you have enough evidence to say this come from the Wuhan? And he said, yes, I do. And he was right.
And then they said, excoriated as a kook.
And yes, excoriated, exactly. And then they called him a racist because he said the China virus. And they said, well, how can you call it the China virus?
It came from China.
It came from China. So anyway, the reason we bring it up, the FBI and the Department of Energy have now found in their studies that the COVID virus came from China, from the Wuhan lab.
As Chris Wray, the FBI director, says, his quote was, most likely leaked out of the Wuhan lab.
Yeah, well, you see, I find this fascinating, what's going on with the story. The government is saying it leaked. How do they know that? How do they know that? We don't know if it leaked or if it was done on purpose.
Well, we wouldn't want to say that from a government standpoint because then we'd anger our creditors.
Why did the Department of Energy suddenly report this and Chris Wray suddenly said this, in the last few days? Does it have anything to do with China saddling up with Russia? And let's cast aspersions. Instead of telling the truth from day one, we're going to use the truth now as a weapon to try to get China to kind of back off in the Ukraine? Yes, it did.
Do you think that will work? I don't think so.
I don't think it works. But I think that that's the kind of manipulation and duplicity that this administration is into. It doesn't work.
Here's a phrase or a word, if you will, that I've heard more times during the Biden administration than I think all the days of my life up until January 20th of 2021.
What is that?
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
I have heard people use gaslighting to describe what's going on in the world and with the United States government more in 2 years than I think I've ever recalled.
Absolutely. I don't like duplicitous things and duplicitous people, nor do I like manipulative things and manipulative people when it comes to me. So the point of it is I can't stand this. Be that as it may.
Look at that, it's my phone ringing for a change.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And it's a 202 number.
That's New York, that's Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
You know what, that's probably Congressman Letlow's office. I put in a call to him earlier.
I got you. Kevin's getting big calls here. Get some money. No, Kevin's a reporter. He can't take money. Oh, really? Anyway, so
I'll decide whether I'm going to take your money or not.
I'm cutting you off. So anyway, I mean, all of a sudden we get this now. Now, yesterday it's reported. It just kind of confirms things. The Epoch Times. I've watched the podcast on this too. Some pretty crafty people, investigators, and scientists. There's an agriculture college near the Wuhan Virological Lab.
You don't say.
Yeah. And on this farm, this agriculture college farm, they were looking at the rice, and they started testing sort of genetic material.
You're not, no.
And guess what they found, folks?
In the rice, on the rice?
Yeah, COVID-19, or whatever that's SARS, whatever they call that.
The SARS-2 virus.
Yeah, it's on there. Now, why would China have that on rice?
Why would an agricultural college be growing rice with a virus on it?
Can anybody kind of figure out maybe what somebody might be interested in here?
Well, you know, Americans consume an awful lot of Chinese rice.
Yeah. Kevin, you might have hit something there.
Because we don't.
You might be touching on a sensitive subject here, Kevin.
Not enough people buy good Louisiana rice.
You might be touching on a sensitive subject there.
Yep.
In short, the virus comes from Wuhan, and then they destroyed all, by the way, all of the, how would I say, the sequences. They destroyed all the paperwork about
all the evidence.
Yeah, the China wouldn't allow us to have that. They destroyed it all, like but they had developed like 50 strands of, mutated stuff.
You mean variants?
Variants, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Like Omicron?
And nobody knows where that 50 are now. In other words, we don't know. Is it in the lab, or is it with the Chinese military? You tell me. Or is it with the American military that somebody that's working in the lab bought off? Here's the problem, though. It makes a real. Here's the other problem with it. It makes Anthony Fauci an absolute liar.
Yep.
An absolute liar.
Yep.
They denied and denied and denied and denied it come out of this lab. And when we sit here, when it happened, and we both said it came out of the lab.
Came out of the lab.
And they're trying to, and it's a weapon. We said that too. I'm not giving that up, by the way.
To me, it's 2 and 2. I mean, you got a virus that came from Wuhan, China. You got a biological virus research lab in Wuhan, China.
And that's 2 plus 2. But if you add a 1 more to it, that's 1 plus 1 equals 2. Mm-hmm. But add 1 more to it, that gives you 3, which is China is not exactly our friend.
No.
Okay. So all of that together kind of adds up. That's kind of a stupid way for us to break the news to you folks. But anyway, we'll be right back.
3 minutes. Fletch Nation returns with more. Come back.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
You could be driving a...
Now's the time to save on new Accords during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda of Acadiana. Get our lowest prices and biggest savings on our largest selection of Accords this year. Hurry in and save during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda of Acadiana, I-49 just south of Opelousas.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
So while America continues to digest this information that's come out, and it hasn't been, that's what gets me, is that the media spends so much time telling us crap that when something comes up that contradicts that, and they don't know what to do with that.
No, they do know what to do. They don't do anything.
Suppress it, pretend it doesn't exist. But
exactly, because nobody's going to say, whoops, we made a mistake.
Yep. Nobody at CBS or NBC.
Did they ever say,
we fed you whatever line of crap the federal government told us to feed you for 2 years?
Which is who's lied the most about this whole virus thing has been the federal government. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, have they ever said, we kind of got that Trump-Russia thing wrong, Russia.
I've never heard a retraction.
Not one word.
Not one.
Not one word. But, so Kevin, now let's turn, since we went to China, now let's go to war.
That seems imminent.
Which would be
imminent.
Which would be the Ukraine. And what's happening in the Ukraine. By the way, apparently, and this is what I'm picking up, I don't know yet, but apparently the Russians are really being quite aggressive in the east now. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty well starting to consolidate their power, their position in the east, their military position, which I don't know what that means, but my guess is that the more they consolidate their position in the east, the more likely it is that we will have a negotiated settlement sooner or later, which would be the settlement that second week of that, about this time last year. I said, well, what they ought to do is just give the east to the Russians, and then
yes, we did.
I mean,
it's one way to avoid out-and-out war.
Yeah.
Better to surrender, a fifth or a quarter of your country than all of it.
I'll tell you something. Don't think this war has been going on for a year. It's been going on since 2014 at least, mm-hmm. when we overthrew. I think his name was Poroshenko. Mm-hmm. When we overthrew him over there and started the whole color revolution or whatever they call it, and then got in there, and Victoria Nuland et al. Were manipulating everything they could, and the Bidens were making as much money as they could. So this don't think that this just started in 2022.
This started when Joe Biden was the Vice President of the United States.
Absolutely. So but anyway, so the Russians are probably, and they have now apparently the Chinese have issued a 12-point peace plan. The question was, are they going to engage over there in the Ukraine in supplying weapons to Russia? In other words, using Russia as a proxy for their ambitions. And the truth is that they issued this 12-point peace plan, which Zelensky turned down apparently, and so now the Chinese have the high end. Okay, we tried to get peace. Now we're going to supply the Russian guys.
We tried making nice. Now here comes the rough stuff.
Now, why would I'm going to go back to that in a minute. The second thing, the third thing. Yesterday, or day before, 20,000 American troops are headed to Europe. And will be apparently stationed near the east line of NATO. That's important. I said it that way because the Ukraine is not in NATO, right? So it's the east line of NATO. So you see the mission creep here is already still, we're not going to bring any troops. Yeah, well, now we're bringing troops, and we ended up pledging another $500 million, was it $10 billion to the Ukraine this week.
That's by my count somewhere around $135 billion.
Already dropped on them, and so that continues to build quickly, and you know it's really had people start talking about the potentiality of World War III, and you can see how it's operating, and I'm convinced that the Biden administration keeps trying to focus on getting the American public ready for armed conflict. But the sending of the 20,000 troops in there is really important. The second thing is, or the next thing about that is that why do you think that China is doing this with Russia? Starting to supply them, so on and so forth. What is going on there? Besides the fact that China and Russia and India are starting to build a separate world economic system. But what do you think is going on there? Could it be that China needs Russia as much as Russia needs China? And here's what I mean. We also sent 200 or 300 troops to Taiwan this week. The United States did, which is quite interesting, and that is to train the Taiwanese army and do certain things. I don't know what all, because I'm not privy to all that. But the point of it is to prepare Taiwan for an invasion by China. So let's assume for a moment that occurs, then Russia will be needed by China to perhaps place pressure on the United States in Eastern Europe. Or maybe they need them some other way, amphibious landing, I don't know.
If we have to fight in two theaters of war.
Well, that's exactly what's going on here. You got it, Kevin. You picked up on it.
It's not good.
No, see, two fronts, same enemies, two fronts, and so that again that lends to this notion that we're very much on the brink of things. And it does not seem to suggest to anybody in the United States, at least in this administration and a lot of people in Congress, that maybe we should be talking about something, because like peace and negotiation, because here's what we're going to war for. If we go to war, the eastern part of the Ukraine, that's really what we're going to war over. In other words, it's not that they pushed up to the NATO boundary, but that they went and took the Russian, culturally Russian part of the Ukraine that the Russians claim. I mean, it's kind of, it's the notion that is this imperative to us is beyond me. Now, the domino theory comes into effect because this administration argues, well, then Poland will fall and Hungary will fall. I find it interesting that both Poland and Hungary now are sort of going to a place of neutrality and not to a place of, gee, yeah, let's really arm up and let's get this all done.
Yeah, if that's the case, why don't we see Poland and Hungary going, hey, we're worried you're coming after us next? We're not hearing any of that from them.
No, Orbán has, I read a speech that he made. He was very clear about that. And I think that I was reading the other night, I've read so much on this, that the Polish premier has said the same thing basically as Orbán. We're going to pursue some sense of neutrality here. Maybe we'll take care of the refugees, but some sense of neutrality.
We're going to go neutral for 3 minutes, and we'll be back with more for Fletch Nation.
Good, Kevin. That was really good.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The season of inspiration is the perfect time to discover the enhanced Mazda CX-5, named a 2022 IIHS Safety Pick Plus Award winner, its highest safety award honor. Choose from over 45 CX-5s available at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Welcome back to Fletch Nation on Pelican Broadcasting. Glad to have you watching, or to those of you listening on the many radio stations across Louisiana. Thank you for your time spent listening.
By the way, Kevin, one of the things that we've given about 130 billion, 40 billion to the Ukraine, and now we're going to finance their pensions.
That just
currently in the United States, I think Social Security or pensions in the country that Joe Biden tried to raid for woke investment the other day, but the Republican House knocked him down. But anyway, those pensions are running about 1.8 trillion in debt, something like that. And so we gave 444 million to the Human. This is in the last couple of days. 50 million to Central Asia and 10 billion to the Ukraine in the last couple of days. Well, you know, folks, I don't want to say nothing, but maybe we ought to be financing American pensions. You think? So
take some of that money and bolster up Social Security.
And one other little thing, given we're talking about this, in case you're wondering, that they had the argument yesterday in front of the United States Supreme Court over student debt forgiveness. I want you to know it's not forgiveness. What it is it's transferring the cost from those who borrowed to those who didn't borrow and who work. That is what it is. In other words, you're going to pay for it. Just so you'll know.
Well, forget who's paying for it for a second. If you've got student loan debt, that means you signed documents saying, I will pay you this money back. That's it. That's the end of it. There should be no further discussion. You agreed to pay the money back.
Shouldn't be.
You have no right to have your loan forgiven.
But there's one thing but it's not forgiven. You have
or reduced or transferred.
No. We're going to transfer payment. We're going to spread the cost
and make
so you don't have to pay, but everybody else will. That's some of the stuff that they're arguing in the Supreme Court. Now I want to go to Merrick Garland.
Yeah, I was just watching him on television on the monitor over there.
Yeah, well, he was. I watched him this morning, a bunch of it. He was in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Unfortunately, I did not get to hear Senator Kennedy question, which is always a wonderful exercise in direct questioning, tying them down, and hog-tying them, as they say, and also a bit amusing. But I didn't get to see it.
Kennedy's so gifted at a line of questioning that makes the witness look like an ass.
He's a very good lawyer. The fact is that Garland was on there this morning, and they began to question him about the fentanyl crisis. The fentanyl crisis. In the United States, per year now, 70,000 people die from fentanyl poisoning or taking it, and it's going up. The number of deaths they're rising quickly. Where does the fentanyl come from?
Southern border.
Southern border. Who gets it? How does it get there? China brings it over, hands it over to Mexican cartels, and they run it into the country in all kinds of ways. I understand now they're going to use the Postal Service. They're using, I saw on TV this morning, somebody was cutting an avocado and showed that the middle of the avocado, I don't know how they got it back together where it didn't look like it was breached in any way, but the middle of the avocado is a bunch of fentanyl. So they're getting it in here.
Very creative.
And they're running across with mules, meaning human traffickers, and they're spreading it all over the country, and it's everywhere, and particularly in rural areas, it's really hit hard. So Garland, they asked him, well, wouldn't you like going to close the border? Well, that didn't make much sense to Garland. Well, they said, well, how about when you're going to prosecute people? Well, we don't have the resources. What, you mean you don't have the resources? The
Federal Department of Justice.
Well, we don't have the jails. We don't have who cares? Put them in whatever you got to put them in. and I was listening to it, and it dawned on me, it's pretty simple. Trump was right again. We need to bomb the hell out of those cartels and find out where they are and send drones in there and blow them off the face of the planet. And you know what, Mexico? You'll learn to live with it, because we'll save you a whole lot of trouble.
I don't know why Mexico isn't down with that. Why Mexico doesn't say, yeah, come on in, take care of business. Because then there won't be our problem anymore.
You know why? Because nobody has said, this is what you're going to do. You want money from the United States? You want to sell your goods here? This is what this is what we're going to do for you, and you're going to let us do it. And you're going to be happy about it. Yeah, I mean, that's why it hadn't happened. But it's obvious that there's only one way to put a tourniquet on it. I don't say you can completely stem it, but you can start putting a tourniquet on it and stop the bleeding.
We have the technology. We can determine pretty much exactly where those cartels are. Airstrikes.
Yeah.
Airstrikes.
Well, you can do it with drones.
Yeah.
I mean, they got rockets on these drones now, and nobody gets hurt. Well, nobody gets hurt. Nobody
Innocent.
Nobody American
hopefully
gets hurt. Yeah, I mean, but you can hit them anywhere you want to hit them. But it was a very, very bad appearance by Garland. But here's the other thing. The committee got into this notion of what Garland has been doing with Catholics and what the FBI has been calling people who go to Latin Mass and who say the Rosary terrorist.
Why?
I have no clue why, but that tends to be, apparently there's some kind of profile on them, but it's because the Southern Poverty Law Center called them that.
A bunch of racists themselves.
Yeah, and left-wing nuts. And so they were asking them about that. Now, folks, here's the deal. There have been 81 birth clinics, where people get talked to about birth and how to do it and that sort of thing. That not abortion clinics, birth clinics, that have been hit by fire and that kind of stuff. And there have been a number of Catholic churches, like 131, that have been vandalized, burned, or whatever the case may be. He could not name one prosecution of anybody related. You know what he said? Well, they do it after dark, and they're really crafty and clever. And so we can't catch them.
Criminals.
We can't catch them.
They do it after dark.
But if you go and you stand in front of an abortion clinic, like that guy did in Pennsylvania with the 7 kids, they'll send the FBI over there with 25 people and a SWAT team and beat hell out of them in front of your kids. That was the line of questioning.
Time for another break. Give us 3 and we'll be right back with much more Fletch Nation.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, We'll give you fun, too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
The biggest sale of the year is happening right now during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda. For a limited time, make no payments for 90 days on every new Honda. That's right, you choose and make no payments for 90 days at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Fletch Nation returns, and as I said earlier in the program, we do this show from the Old School Barbecue Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard in Baton Rouge. And the reason I tell you that is because if you're ever in Baton Rouge, or if you live in Baton Rouge, get yourself by, because the name says it all, really. It is old school, homemade barbecue. I mean, things like the coleslaw, the baked beans, all made from scratch. Nothing comes out of a can, not even the barbecue sauce. They mix that up themselves right here.
It's good barbecue.
Oh my goodness.
Really good.
So good.
We just had a few sausage a while ago.
Yeah. Oh man. Grilled sausage with baked beans. Yummy, yummy, yum.
Well, you had baked beans. I did not have any of them.
There have been a few developments in some of the political races here in Louisiana.
Yeah. I think they had the first forum kind of with the gubernatorial candidates.
They had 3, I think, of the Republican candidates at a forum today.
Right. Then they had one over in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
We have a potential new candidate, Clay Scheck-Snyder, the Speaker of the House, who's talking about running, who says that he might run if Garrett Graves don't run. It appears to me that Clay better get his running shoes on.
My gut tells me that Congressman Graves is not going to get in this race.
Yeah.
And
now, I mean, you reported on, or was reported with you folks at LN about a meeting that occurred. Is that right?
Well, actually, my source where I heard it was the Jim Inkster radio show, Talk Louisiana, which is on WRKF in Baton Rouge, and heard on some other stations around the state. But Jim, he declined to cite his source, but he said that someone he knows told him that he was at an eatery in Livonia in West Baton Rouge Parish on Sunday, where he encountered Garrett Graves. And Garrett Graves was taking a meeting at that eatery
at the restaurant over there.
Yep, with Attorney General Jeff Landry. Now, as of this morning, Mr. Graves acknowledges that the meeting took place. It's about 90 minutes long. And he says after talking with Mr. Landry, he's much closer to a decision. And he said he will make something public within about 10 days of today.
Of today. From today. Yeah, well, I mean...
So that's where we are with Garrett Graves.
You know, so we should probably, if I was a betting man, I'd start, might go to Las Vegas and place a bet or two.
I'm just going to put it out there, because I don't have any money on it. I don't think he's going to run. He's got a pretty sweet deal in Congress right now, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And you got to really want to be governor to run and to take the abuse that you're going to take in an election like this, and you got to come from behind, because Jeff Landry's clearly the front runner. Anyway. Landry's
just
poll,
in terms of money, support?
Yeah, Landry's poll that he released yesterday, I think, to Gannett, I believe it's who reported it, was of Republicans and independents in the state, and he was at about 48, which means that he's about 28 to 30 in the total vote.
KA Consulting did that poll for Landry's campaign. The number 2 vote getter, if you will, in the survey was undecided, 37%.
Yeah.
Everybody else by name, single digits.
Yeah, almost 40% of Republicans and independents undecided, which means you're given the fact that Sharon Hewitt and John Schroeder are in the, quote, in the race, I don't know that they're in anything, but they're in the race, they say. And then you put Clay Scheckschneider in. And then there's one other one, which is Sean Wilson, the head of DOTD.
Expected to jump in
a Democrat
anytime now. I think Friday is his last day on the job at DOTD.
Yeah, so if he gets in the race, then it looks like a Sean Wilson, Jeff Landry runoff, in which case I think that Landry wins that race. But I think it'll be a competitive race. But that's the way it at least looks right now. Who knows how to look in another month? We don't know. And if Garrett Graves gets in the race, then it will cause some disturbance in some ways. And I think Garrett would be your second choice very quickly. If he got in, if Congressman Graves got in the race, he would be your second choice real quick. Now, so that kind of gives us a lowdown on that, and a kind of a way, the framework from which to measure events as we go along. The other races, we have the Attorney General's race, Elizabeth.
Liz Murrill is
Liz
the
Murrill.
Solicitor General, number two person at Justice.
And what I understand is John, I can't say the word.
Stefanski,
yeah.
John Stefanski
from Crowley.
Right.
Yeah. Who's a good candidate. I think both of those people will be very good candidates. Murrill, however, will be the Jeff Landry choice.
And she knows the job, too.
Yeah, she knows the job. Well, Stefanski's a damn good lawyer,
yeah,
so I don't...
Sure.
But the fact is that that's a situation where there's not a Democrat in the race, and so that could end up be two Republicans run against each other, and the winner will probably be the one who gets the Democratic vote. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a possibility. The other is the other race that we have is there are a couple more. One is the insurance commissioner's race. The same fellow that ran.
Tim Temple, who ran against Commissioner Donlin last time and didn't win.
He got beat. And Donlin, you know, he's a tough candidate. He's a tough candidate. Tough campaign.
Is he in for another one?
I think he's going to run again.
He after his last re-election, he said this could very well be his last.
Well, it could be, but you know, I decided it could be my last now, so who knows? And then the treasurer's race is kind of interesting. Scott McKnight from here in Baton Rouge.
Kind of a middle of the road. Middle of the road is not complimentary. A centrist Republican?
I'd say he's a middle of the road kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mr. Granger from Lake Charles is the Democrat.
Dustin Granger, he is by trade, he's not a lawyer, which is interesting. He's a fiduciary, he's a financial advisor.
And then the other is Dr. John Fleming from Shreveport, who was a congressman for 8 years up there, I think it was 8 years. And then he became senior advisor in the White House to President Trump. And he's a fire-breathing Republican.
Has he made an official announcement yet?
Yeah, he's getting ready to.
Okay. So
it'll be in the next couple of days.
Substantiated
rumor.
Huh? Substantiated rumor at this point.
Yeah, it's more than a rumor. I know it for a fact. Okay, get in. And so it's going to be that's going to be an interesting race where the Democrat again and the Republican, whichever more base Republican they end up in the runoff, probably Fleming and Granger. Mm-hmm. And it could happen that way.
I have a couple questions about some of the other statewide races, but we're only 30 seconds away. But let me hit you with one real quick. Do you see anybody wanting to challenge Mike Strain to be Ag and Forestry Commissioner?
No, I don't even think people even know he's there.
Well,
that's a good thing.
In his case, that's a sign he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, no controversy whatsoever.
And then, of course, there's the Secretary of State, Kyle Ardoin. I don't know if there's a lot of complaint, but it's also a very political position. So I expect the Democrats will want to get somebody in there.
He's going through some difficult times, but I think that he's come out the other side in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're going to come out the other side of these commercials in pretty good shape.
Right back.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Welcome back to Fletch Nation. Glad to have you along with us. As I said at the beginning of the program, we tape this on Wednesday, so today is March the 1st as we record this. So I got an email the other day saying, sometimes you guys are talking about some pretty old stuff. I said, well, if you call 3 days old,
well, no.
But we tape once a week.
But I mean, the world moves fast, so I can understand why you would think it's old.
True.
So Kevin, the fabrications that we've been told by the government, by the United States government about COVID.
With regard to the pandemic.
Here we go. Natural immunity offers little protection. Now we have a massive study that says it's as good or better than the vaccine.
In my opinion, better.
Better. Because they don't mess with it. School closures reduce transmission. No, they reduce brains. They don't reduce transmission. They never reduce transmission. We know that now. Myocarditis from the vaccine is less common than the infection. Wrong. That's wrong. The mask work.
Yep.
Totally wrong.
Absolutely no empirical data to indicate that wearing masks helped us one way or the other.
Data on the bivalent booster is crystal clear. No, it's not. We don't know if it works or not.
Yep.
Maybe it works to kill you. I don't know, but no, it does not. Don't have that. There's been no studies on it.
The problem
and the final one, and of course the big one. The lab leak from Wuhan is a conspiracy theory, and you're a QAnon if you believe in that.
Yep. You're wearing a tinfoil hat, and you're an absolute nut job.
Crazy. You're crazy.
Now, let's just...
Remember, they called the President of the United States, when he said that, crazy.
Yep, and a racist.
Yeah, and racist.
By the way, in case you missed the first segment of the program, this week, both the Federal Department of Energy and the FBI said it's their conclusion that the virus probably leaked out of the Wuhan lab.
And the problem is they use the word accidental leak or leak.
Again, I just don't think they want to inflame anybody and make an accusation that it was intentional, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, we know how we feel.
I mean, when a virus that kills millions worldwide comes out of an unfriendly nation, what you think? What are you supposed to think?
Yeah, what you supposed to think? You better think that we got a problem. Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to kind of tidy up. As you know, I sit here one day and I said the balloons that were being shot down, and you said something. Well, we don't know where they're from, and I said no, they could be aliens because I didn't know where they were from. Well, I know that sounded crazy. But we still don't know. They're probably from
It's not that crazy. We had a general in the Army say that refused to rule out that they were aliens.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So, but this is interesting. Politica, which is not exactly a right-wing operation,
and it ain't the National Enquirer either.
And it ain't the National Enquirer, and they're not known for being insane. Came out with an article this week, Monday, I think, from a guy that was a long-time fighter pilot and trained people, being fighter pilots. And he started to, and the article was about these unidentified flying aberrations that all of these guys have been seeing over the years as they flew their plane.
Yeah, Department of Defense likes UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena.
There we go.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I like that too. Or better known in the old vernacular as UFOs. Okay? And the truth is that this guy makes a very strong case for what he and his pilots were seeing and was being seen, was that these things moved too quickly. They could stand absolutely still. There was no method of propulsion that they could see on them, anything, and then they would move very rapidly. And
in other words, they defy the laws of physics as we know them.
As we know them. And it wasn't like they saw them once or twice or three. They saw them all the time when they were flying. Now, either one is, over the last 20 years, the Air Force has got a bunch of dopeheads being pilots, which they don't, or, because we know Tom Cruise is don't do that, but or,
gotta trust Maverick, man.
Yeah, man, come on. Or they're actually seeing stuff. And apparently this guy has come to the conclusion that we have UFOs.
I had a friend.
If we got UFOs, we got aliens.
I had a friend he's passed on, but for a lot of his life, he was a pilot for Eastern Airlines. Remember Eastern Airlines?
Right.
The Wings of Man. He said he saw unidentifiable things in the sky so frequently that he
quit looking?
He quit reporting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He said the first 2 or 3 times he reported them, he got so much crap for it, because this was back in the 70s.
Yeah.
That he said finally started.
Well, that was sort of what this Air Force officer was making the point about, is that it was really hard to report because they looked at you like you were half crazy when they started, but there were so many of them reporting that they had to take the reports.
Well, Roy, what do you think? I mean, let's speculate for a minute, because it's interesting that we're having an honest-to-God discussion about flying saucers, if you will.
Yeah, that's the other old way to play.
But what are the national security implications of aircraft or air phenomena that can invade our airspace undetected, move in ways that our military aircraft can't compete with? Should Americans be concerned?
Well, I don't think we can be concerned, because if that's what they have to transport themselves around, it ain't exactly like it's a fair fight. So folks, have no point in being concerned. Just hope it. What are we going to do? Take out our guns and shoot them?
Well, that's apparently what the Biden administration's been doing here the last few weeks.
Well, that's true too. They've been shooting missiles.
UAP, shoot it down.
Well, if it's a balloon that somebody might see, but if it's an unidentified flying object that only pilots can see, they're not shooting them down.
Well, did you see that the Department of Defense said we have no plans to release any of the photos of the UFOs that have been shot down recently?
Well, that's interesting.
So we're not going to really. So that's interesting because you'd think if we shot down a weather balloon, they'd be like, yeah, see, weather balloon. Take a picture. Here it is.
So I go back to we don't know where these things came from or what they are. That's interesting. I tell you what, y'all got any tinfoil in here? Let me put some on my head.
The bizarre question about the phenomena, Roy, is let's put aliens off the table for a second. So
we're taking tinfoil off?
It's some natural phenomenon. It's something that occurs naturally within the electromagnetic aspects of the atmosphere. Who knows?
Kevin.
Still, some of them exhibit these characteristics that defy logic, and some of them appear to be extremely solid objects.
Yes. And by the way, I can't even think about it, but I'm just telling you that we are not alone. Isn't that what they used to say? We are not alone.
Well, I'm reminded of when Reagan addressed the UN General Assembly, and he alluded to, I've often wondered if, I can't remember, paraphrase, but he said if we were threatened by some threat from outside of our world, how quickly we would put aside our petty differences.
Yeah, and get right.
So to some extent, I'm kind of hoping we got aliens. Maybe that'll help.
Well, who knows? We probably have zombies, but I don't know what. The zombie apocalypse is coming.
Kevin, and it's going to come from Wuhan.
No. By the way, we talked about the things that they told us that weren't true about COVID. Let's talk about the things that they have told us about energy that are not true. Because the White House this week had to admit, remember, there were 9,000 leases on federal lands that the oil companies weren't drilling?
Yeah.
Well, they accidentally miscounted, and there's 6,000. So they only dropped it by a third. And and that's been a year since that. So probably next year it'll be down to 3,000.
But I know I've carped on this before when we talked about this, but there's a difference between selling me a lease and granting me a permit to explore.
That's right.
And that's where the process dies down.
That's right. Absolutely. But the point of it is they can't even get that part right. They got that all wrong. So I'm
going to quote Reagan again, the 9 worst words in the English language. We're from the government and we're here to help.
That's right. I'm from the government. We're here to help. That's exactly right. That's a fair quote.
That's fun stuff.
But anyway, so that's the show today. I think it's we covered a lot of ground.
Watch the skies.
There's a lot of ground to cover.
Watch the skies.
Anyway,
Soil and Green.
So we'll be back next week. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for watching Fletch Nation. Take care.
Listening to Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher and Kevin Gallagher. Remember, if you heard something that ticked you off, upset your sensibilities, or threatened your precious safe space,
the opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are purely their own and do not reflect those of this radio station or its advertisers.
So if you're calling a lawyer, or planning a boycott, or a cancel campaign, forget about it and join us next week for more Fletch Nation.